We're good to go.
Okay, are we live? Okay. Well, good evening to all the viewers and friends of Dr. Fundi who have joined us via the various social media platforms, the ones that have joined us on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, and the Dr. Fundi platform. Tonight, we are celebrating Dr. Fundi's 53rd birthday. And my name is Peloka Zinyati. And on our panel of friends that are going to be chatting to Dr. Fundi, we have Dr. Sillo Mudaung, an old friend of his from medical school, a colleague and a friend. We've got Zipporah Maubani. She is a friend from Facebook, an old friend from Facebook, and we will have an interesting conversation around how they know each other. And then we've got Nwabi Santlama, who is going to be welcoming people in and taking your messages from the various social media platforms. Do engage with us on the media platforms, and as we celebrate the life and times and the good person that our good doctor is. Just a little bit of introduction on my side. I am the younger sister to Dr. Fundi, and we just about to receive another friend in. There we go. Welcome, welcome. We've got Dr. Eugenia Kula. Dr. Eugenia Kula is also a friend of Dr. Fundi. And also, as we continue with our conversation, I'm sure we'll get to know more about how the two know each other. As I said, just a little bit of introduction of why possibly I was chosen to bring all these beautiful people together on this evening. I'm the younger sister to Dr. Fundi.
Oh, wow.
And so I will introduce him in the best way I know how. And our special personality of the day, Fundi Lenyati, my older brother, he calls me his Irish twin. I won't expand more on that. He calls me his Irish twin because I was born 11 months after him. So if I'm not too much like him, it is because he has taken all the attention and attention-seeking behaviors, and you all owe it to me because I took all the attention from the breastfeeding. And so he keeps talking about that. Dr. Fundi, big brother to me, and a brother to two other siblings, Budimteto, and our younger brother, Umtabisi Ulanga. You like introducing people using their clan names, so I will do that to you today. So sit back and watch yourself coming alive, because we are going to do some of the things that you do to the people that you interview. For example, Bele, Dlambulo, Mbuto, Langa, Vapi, Mnomana, Dubandlela, Nondanda Kupaganyiswa, Nondanda Kupaganyiswa, especially that one. My dear brother loves attention. Nondanda Kupaganyiswa is somebody that loves to be elevated. So that clan name suits you perfectly, Langa. And the one that is Langa, Langa is the sun. Everybody that knows Fundile will know that in his presence, you feel like you're in the presence of the sun. He's always bubbly. He's the life of everything, whether you call it a party or whatever, he's the life of everything. And I would like to believe that he's brought us together today because he is that sun. So Langa, Lokulunga, Akumnyama Kaukona, that means that when the sun is there, there's no darkness. So you are that to, I believe, all of us here, and even the people that are viewing back at home, because you're that person that brings light into our lives. And thank you so much for gracing us with your presence in the various aspects of our lives and various aspects of our journeys. I've known you since I was 0 years old in my mother's tummy when I kicked you out and took the attention away from you. So for the last 52 years, I know you've shared me with literally everyone in the family, and you've been very kind and generous, and thank you so much for that. But I wouldn't be doing justice if I talk about the clan of Amabele only, because you came from the womb of a princess. Inkosazana uJola, uNgwanya, uQengeba, uPhahla, uMphankomo, ithole lo mthwakazi. Inkosazana yamaMpondomise le ndithetha ngayo. Yeah, I'm talking about a woman that shaped who you are. Together with our dad, they created the awesome person that you are. And so I wouldn't be doing justice if I talk about you without talking about your mom and talking about your dad, the people that shaped the beautiful and amazing, brilliant person that you are. And for those that know our dad, they will know that you are our dad's clone. So when our dad passed on, we got Fundile. And so, you know, the guy that is always bubbly and always laughing and yeah, who's, you know, he comes alive everywhere and he shares his intellect. He's very generous with his knowledge. Our dad was like that. And I believe that we owe it to him that we have this personality that you have, and the entrepreneurial spirit that you have. I believe that we owe that to our mom. And so the two beautiful souls, may their souls rest in peace. I believe that today they would be very proud. I believe they still are very proud to have a son like you, a leader, a thought leader, somebody that is a go-getter, somebody that doesn't stop at anything. Beautiful, beautiful soul. I love you so much, my brother. And I'm so glad that today we've got so many friends that are here to celebrate your life with us. So perhaps I will start by inviting somebody that's known you from varsity, Dr. Silo Motaung, because he's known you since you were a naughty teenager, bright-eyed naughty teenager. So Dr. Silo, welcome, and let me just give you the platform.
I'll tell you what, there's a lot we want to chat to Fundile about, but if you don't mind, I'm going to ask that we do something that's appropriate to celebrate, you know, this occasion, and I'm going to pass the baton on to my right-hand side, if you know where I'm looking at the screen now, so that we start that process. I think it's a very good place to start, and then we can start our conversation. How's that?
Oh, there's somebody coming in there, Unobeta. So maybe can we just, Doc, how far are we with getting him in?
Yeah,
because
he's just connecting the audio. Don't you think it, you know, maybe before, I know I'm now supposed to be the one who sits and listens and stuff.
You just be yourself.
We can't change you.
Don't you think just a minute of each of my friends, you know, the knowing me part before we get to the questions? So that,
yes. So I would have loved for Nobeta to come in.
Yeah, he's struggling with.
I think Nobeta has known you from before you were born. So it would be nice to have him come in. I've known you from when you were 11 months old. So he probably knows you longer than I have known you. So Nobeta, where are you?
He's struggling with connecting with sound. Okay. He's trying again. Yeah.
Okay.
He's in the deep rural Eastern Cape. So signal may not be very good where he is. I'm crossing fingers that he manages to connect, but in the meantime, I think the show must go on.
Okay. Dr. Motaung, you were saying.
Right. Well, in terms of where I know Fundile from and how far I've known him, well, I met Fundile for the first time way back in the mid-80s, 1984. I mean, more than 30 years ago or so. And we were all down at, medical school down in Natal. And of course, in the same class, living in the same residence. Some residents that got famous. It was the most famous residence at Res at the time, because knowing Fundile, he would want to be with the best. And that was Mosquitoville. And those who know Res would know Mosquitoville, the Skeetos, as we used to call ourselves. And of course, we went through medical school together, qualified together. And we've had, a few other common things that we did outside of medical school before at some point coming together to work together as colleagues at PHS. And of course, we, that friendship carried on. And yes, by the way, I'm honored to be selected to be one of the panel of friends to celebrate this occasion with Fundile. And that's just a little bit. Of course, we're still going to go a little deeper into all of these issues that I mentioned, but that's just a little bit about where I know Fundile from.
Thank you so much, Doc. Zipporah, over to you.
Thank you, Pelakazi. So I'm so excited to be part of the panel of friends as we celebrate Dr. Fundi's birthday tonight. And I'm just very excited. I think I'm more excited than him. But in any event, we know each other from Facebook, as you mentioned, Pelakazi, in the introduction. And I think Facebook launched globally, I think in 2004, and in South Africa in 2007 or 6, thereabouts. And I know that Dr. Fundi and I have just been like friends on Facebook very steadfastly. I mean, a week wouldn't go by without me reading what he posted. And over a long period of time, we really developed this great friendship. And it was when we first met in, outside of Facebook in real life, it was so exciting. You'd have thought we knew each other, we've known each other forever in real life, and we even took a photo. It was just exciting. So every time we meet outside of Facebook, it's very, very, very exciting. And I remember one time I was out, it was my birthday. I was out with my daughters, and they didn't know about Dr. Fundi. So, and he saw us and he came to us and he said hello. And, I actually didn't see him all along. So he came and he was approaching, and my daughters were the first to see him approached. And later on, then I looked up and I stood up and excited. And, my daughters were just looking at me and him and thinking, who is this? So it's such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure always to be in the company of Dr. Fundi, as you said, Ulanga, right? In Sotho and Tswana we say Letsatsi. You bring us the light that we all need. Very, very exciting. So I'm so grateful to be part of this panel, and it's your special day, and we are here to celebrate you. And we'll ask you questions, comfortable and uncomfortable questions, because your followers have joined and they would like to know more about you. They would like to know the person behind the public profile. So we're going to dig a little bit deep. We'll make you a little bit uncomfortable. Okay.
Yes, thank you. Nobeta is here at last.
The sound is a problem. The sound is still a problem. But let's let him continue trying.
All right.
Let's let him continue trying. Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's continue. How's Eugenia? Is this Eugenia?
I wanted you to remind us to share the link. Those who are not talking, let's share the link. Okay. I know Dr. maybe I'll say what attracted me. I'm kind of selected. There's certain things that I look out for. You know, intellectual engagement. Oh, hold on. Let me have a backup of a. I have a backup. Well, where I'm sitting, I'm far from Wi-Fi. Hold on.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes, we can.
I said I know a dog from Facebook, and I was saying I'll look for certain things that interest me. Whether I'm selective, you can, you know. What I like about him is the authenticity. You know how we narrate. I used to joke when I stayed in Oxford, when we were introducing ourselves. I said, everybody comes from Accra, Lagos, Joburg. I said, I come from a small town in the Karoo. So we would talk about issues from a village, how we grew up. I'll read with interest those humble beginnings. I like the entrepreneurial spirit in him. I see a brother, whether big or middle, who is a family man. You might not know what's happening with this one. If you didn't take leave from work, you are in a place with him. They will know that you're in a party or somewhere. Everywhere there's family gatherings, he takes pictures. I literally watched the wedding of Dico from his Facebook page. That's the kind of person. He records events. So we are blessed to have that kind of person in the family. I'm part of the thought leaders group with him. And then I remember I was sick. I had some voice thing. I was like, what do I do? I inboxed him. I said, this is what I have. I got my script. He didn't charge me. You know, this friendship pays off, yeah?
Yeah.
I got my script, went to the farm, but I was even in the car park. I said, oh, I feel this. So I was diagnosed this. Then I got my script and I was this. So the one time, and I agree with my other colleague, other friend who spoke earlier, we were at the butcher shop. He was with the family. He's got this beautiful wife and the plumpy daughter, and he's a family man. So he was sitting somewhere. So I kind of thought, okay, so you're always the one who will come to you, you know? So it says something about a man who would be, and with a wife who's secure. So is that good friend? So it's full of entrepreneurial spirit. So everything of him fascinates me, but I like the authenticity. It's an inspiration to even everybody, old, his age, and younger people, to say, you know, you can come from somewhere as long as you are focused. And then you hear all the achievements. The son is back from the US and all that. So with this one, there's no secret in the family. Who post it? He's excited for you. If there's anything he's grieving, like the other cousin, the Nyati, you will know it from him. So that's him. So he's a person that I really, you know, I'm blessed to be part of his life and a good friend, you know. So the other things I'll leave for the questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sisi. And yeah, I think Nobeta, can you hear us?
Yes, thank you, Mambele.
Oh, you're welcome,
Thank
Nob.
you. Thank you, and happy birthday to Ibele.
Ibele.
Ewe.
Oh,
Nobeta.
Yeah,
Where
Bele. Technology sometimes, you know, yeah, it can be a killer, you know. I just wanted to pull your leg. I know you've got two names, and the other one is talking to your clan. The multiplication of the clan. And I just wanted you to just, I know that name, Umapelandile, was not your most favorite. So can you share why you didn't like that name for some time?
Okay. All right. The questions have started. All right. Yes, my good people. Yes, I've got two names. Fundile is the first one. That's the one that most of you know. In fact, I would say 99% of the people, they know Fundile. I also knew that I only had one name, Fundile, up until I was in standard 10, grade 12, for those people who only been to
A new
school
generation.
recently, you know. So when it was time for me to apply to universities, they needed my birth certificate. And when it came, it had this name. And it was the first name. And the one that I knew, Fundile, was in the middle. And it was misspelled. It was written Mabelandile. Now, that's a totally different context. Mabelandile means the breasts have enlarged, which is totally different from the clan has enlarged. So, and at medical school, they used that name religiously. Fundile was nowhere to be seen. And I had kept quiet about it until one day when we were doing second year, there was this class list which was passing for us to sign for something. And I was sitting in the middle of the lecture room. And all of a sudden, some of my naughty friends picked up this name and they started shouting this name. And I was like, okay, they can't be talking about me, you know? And, but anyway, then they made it clear that they are talking to me. And they were calling Mabelandil. And I was not very pleased, you know, and Dr. Silom Daung here actually was one of those people, you know. And so from that day, they referred to me for a year or two. They used to actually call me with that name because they knew I didn't like it. But later, they then decided to call me Mabi. So most of the time, Silom Daung, Jabulani Nkosi, Keith Shongwe, the guys I was in the class with, they called me Mabi from that name because they knew it's a name I did not like. I hope I've answered you, Norbert. But I can also turn the tables. His name is Tseba Lomti. Now, I mean, Tseba Lomti. Yeah, Tseba Lomti means a chip of a, you know, a tree, you know, or a tree bark or whatever. You know, Ikteba is a piece, Umti is a tree. So you'll have to tell us why they would just give you know, their son a name that is lousy like that.
Bella, it's your day.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. No, we asked the question.
Maybe that it's that time. Remember, we were waiting for everyone to come through so that Doc, you can then do the honors with regards to toasting his life and yeah, Zipporah and between the two of you, Zipporah and Dr. Mutaung,
All right.
one of you lead us.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm not a very good singer, but I trust that Zipporah is going to do justice to this, and I'm going to hand over to Zipporah to lead us in whatever we plan to do. Yeah.
Okay. So, Pelakazi, as thank you. We agree that we will toast to Dr. Fundi. And I think maybe we need to give two of our friends a time to get their drinks because they joined us after we took the decision to toast. So, okay, Bongo has one. Dr. Eugenia, do you have a...
Don't.
We'll give you a minute to organize a drink and then...
organize something, okay.
Yes, organize something. Yeah, so we can do something.
We can sing the happy birthday song whilst we're waiting for her. Okay, it's not a concert, so as long as Doc understands, we don't have to be Pavarottis.
Yes.
It's our hearts that count, Doc. So just take it. Our hearts are singing to you, no matter what comes out. Don't worry about the notes, okay?
I'm looking forward to Barry White, you know, with his baritone.
So our throats sharpened now. Are we ready? Whilst we're waiting for our friends to come back.
Ready to support.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy
Happy birthday, dear dog. Happy birthday to you. Nandi kuwe. Nandi kuwe. Nandi
Now, I did this on purpose. I must say, I did this on purpose. I heard one of the broadcasters talking about how funny it is to listen to people singing a happy birthday song on Zoom. So I just wanted to test the theory, and it works. It is very funny. Anyway, over to you, Zipporah.
Okay. First, we'll do the first toast. We'll toast 3 times, and the first one we dedicate to you, Doc, for your aspirations and your wishes. We wish and we hope that they come true. To you,
Cheers.
Doc. Cheers.
Cheers, Belle.
No better.
Hey,
Would you like to dedicate the second toast to Dr. Sello?
Well, the second one goes to our friend, the celebrant, Mabi, as we fondly used to call him. And Mabi, happy birthday, and see many, many more, man.
Yes.
many more years.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Dr. Eugenia, dedicate the third one, which is the last one for us.
Okay. To you, Doc, may you have long life, and may God grant you your heart desires, and continue to be entrepreneurial and just being you and being a blessing to humanity. Cheers.
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 Thank you. All right. Okay,
Okay.
Uh,
So
Ma- ma-
Nobeta,
ma-
I think we said you would set the pace for us, because I think you've known Fundi longer than any of us, because you've known him before he was born, right?
yes,
Because, yeah. So you've known him longer than me. So it would be,
yes.
I think, proper to have you being the one to kick off with the whole, sharing about him and also asking him questions.
Yes. Thanks for that honor. Thanks for that honor, Mambet. Yeah. I've known him in our days in Plaza, and when Tatu Mike was the principal there.
Yes.
And yesterday the question kept on coming to my mind, thinking that in Plaza there was only one hospital in St. Barnabas. And I think you were born there in that hospital. Yes. Now the only doctors in that vicinity were white doctors, English, who were working in that hospital. And so when did this idea of becoming a doctor come up to you? At what age? And why a doctor? What led to that choice?
Okay. Thank you, Nobeta, for that question. Yes, I was born on the 23rd of September, 1967. That's 53 years ago. Yeah, and I first tasted oxygen at that hospital called St. Barnabas. Now, for the first 4 years, I was in that rural village called Ntlaza. Those people who have been to Port St. John's, they will know a hospital that you pass about 40 k's before you get to Port St. John's, right? Now, I was not inspired by the white doctors that were at St. Barnabas. The story actually, I'm not gonna make it long. But my dad, Michael Nyati, who passed in 2007, he was a chap who was very gifted intellectually, coming from a family of teachers, you know, generations and generations of teachers. You know, Amamvengu, you know, the guys who sold out, you know, yeah, you know, so he came from that lineage of the Fingos. The Fingos are the people who had ran away from KZN, and they went and stayed as refugees in and around, you know, Grahamstown and Petty in the Eastern Cape. And because they were refugees, obviously they had nothing, and they befriended the 1820 settlers, and they were used as a buffer between the real Xhosas and the white people. The Xhosas, they used to go and steal, you know, and get back their cows at night, you know, after they had been sold mirrors, you know, for a cow. But anyway, that's another story. But to answer you, so my dad was a very gifted person intellectually. He went to St. John's College in Umtata, and from JC, he then moved to Fort Beaufort. Was it Fort Beaufort? No. Hilltown. There's a school that was called Hilltown, where he did his matric, and he was amongst the top 5 students in the Cape Province. That's around 1947. And so he was selected to be in the first group of people who were going to do medicine. Those days, there was no medical school in South Africa that was dedicated to admitting blacks in large numbers. There would be 1 or 2 people at Wits, but nothing else. And so a certain Dr. Alan Taylor in Natal decided that there needs to be a medical school at University of Natal, and that medical school should train black people. So my dad was in the first group of the people that were admitted there, only to discover 6 months into the program that they were recruited under false pretext. They were going to be what they call mid-level workers or auxiliary doctors or assistant doctors. The belief at the time was that a black person doesn't have the intellectual ability to become a medical doctor. The best they can be is to be an assistant to the real doctor. So when he discovered that, he protested with many others, and he was kicked, you know, from that program. And so he came back home, and he became a teacher, which is the family profession. And so he then decided that one of his children must become a doctor. He therefore tried his luck with Mteto, my big brother, and unfortunately Mteto was set on being an engineer. And then, you know, I then was the one, he found, you know, fertile ground with me, because Mtandi Zindo, you know, you know, generally those days, doctors were the guys with big houses, big cars, big this, and they looked like they lived large. And I was quite sickly when I was young. You know, I used to suffer from tonsils and all of that. So every 2nd or 3rd month, I would be in hospital. So that experience of frequently being sick, a dad who wanted what we call vicarious living through me, and also our shop that was next to a clinic, you know, all of that influenced me. So by the age of 5, I already knew that that's the path I wanted to follow. And so I did not allow anything to change me from that path. Yes, my big brother tried to change me when I was in, you know, standard 9 or grade 11, tried to get me to engineering, but you know, I had problems with, you know, I was good in maths, but geometry was my problem. The ability to look at the diagram and decide, here I need to put a line, you know, so that I can use this theorem or that theorem. So the ability to visualize things, I really, it wasn't there. And I had already known by that time there's something called drawing in engineering, and you need to have that ability to visualize things and all of that. So I said to him, I'm cool with medicine. You know, biology, I'm enjoying it. Science, I'm enjoying it. Maths, I'm not bad, but I certainly don't think I want to do engineering. I hope I've answered you.
No, thank you, Ben.
All right.
Thank you.
So the question that I have,
yeah,
just a question, a follow-on question. Then, okay, so you went on to study medicine, and I think it's 7 years of study, right?
6 years and then 1 year internship.
Yeah, and then you decide later on, so many years later, you decide, okay, 7 years of studying an internship doesn't work for me. You want to be an entrepreneur. I mean, that investment in studying, what happened to the doctor with the big house and the big car, you know, all those dreams, what happened?
No, I did not. You know, that's one thing that maybe I need to clear. I am still a medical doctor, a proud medical doctor. I'm still registered with the Health Professions Council. I'm in good standing with the Health Professions Council, and I am up to date with my knowledge of medicine. You know, that's why I'm able to be, I was Dr. Metro for many years, and now I'm a resident doctor for 702 because I keep up to date with my medical knowledge. Why? Because in business or entrepreneurship, things can go bad. You need to have a fallback position. And so I am still that doctor. However, and just to answer you, Zipporah, because I grew up in a shop, you know, our parents had a general dealer store. So I basically grew up in an entrepreneurial environment. I used to be the one who does stock taking and decide what grocery must be bought tomorrow, and I would be left to to look after the shop and all of that. So that entrepreneurial side of me was there since the early stages. So when I got to qualify as a doctor, for the first 5 years I practiced after internship as a doctor, but I got a bit bored, and I thought maybe let me go and further my studies. So I did masters in family medicine, which was a 3-year program. But instead of that fulfilling me, I got even more bored. You know, a patient would come in and tell me what their problem is. By the time they finish, I know exactly what I need to give them. So I was not getting the challenge intellectually, and I was starting to be disillusioned by my choice. And I had to ask myself, but I thought this is what God has called me to do, to be a doctor and heal people. And why is it that I'm no longer enjoying this thing? Then I had applied to study dermatology. I was accepted, but then after Mteto had finished his MBA, talking to him, it sounded so interesting, this thing, this MBA and the, Porter's 5 forces model, this and that, I thought, no, man, what would happen if I mix medicine and business? And more so that I've got an entrepreneurial background. So, because I really did not, I think one thing about me, I don't want to be like everybody else. The usual thing in medicine, you get your degree, you go and be an intern or community service nowadays, go to become a GP or specialize, and then later, you go and practice as a private specialist. So I wanted something different. And so I saw mixing medicine and business as something that would make me unique. And I told myself, I want to make sure that both of those things, I drive them. Most people, when they move from medicine, then they focus on business and forget about medicine. So for me, I wanted to do the difficult thing of keeping up to date with medicine, yet pushing my entrepreneurial thing. And so I push both of those. Sometimes I don't know whether I'm a businessman or I'm a doctor, but I'm able to switch between the two.
Sorry to chip in, but I guess I want to believe, because when I thought about this thing, I think this, you're taking it from your mother and your father. You're a combination of the two. your mom being an entrepreneur and very astute one, very good, very hardworking, and your father still being this brain and with this medicine as what was driving his purpose. So I guess you are both your mom and dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So 40 years after he was kicked out of medical school, then his dream was achieved via me.
And you're still alive.
Yes. Me.
No. The dream is still alive through you.
Oh, yes. Yes. So he from 1989, when I qualified, he lived vicariously through me. This is the guy, when I was doing second year medicine, he would drive around and get all our reports and actually say, I'm a doctor, yet I was still doing, year 2, 4 more years to go. So because to him, it was a fulfillment of what he did not manage to achieve. Yeah.
Yes.
That's good.
So can I just throw in one or two? Maybe just focus on your other side. I mean, we spoke a bit about, spending 6 years at medical school, but just outside of studying, I mean, obviously we had to study, but just outside of studies, we needed to do stuff that would get us relaxed, and we had a bit of fun and so on. I just want to zone in on the music part, right? You obviously had a love for music, and perhaps I'm going to ask you to share with us, your experience of music at the time, and there was that club, The Beat Goes On, that you remember of, and of course we partied hard. So first question is around, your experience, on music and what music really does for you. You can stretch it, from then to now. The second part of the question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, obviously I have a pretty good idea of where you'd be on this one, but on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put your dancing skills?
All right. Let me declare again, I grew up being that person who's very fun-loving. Now, when I got to medical school in 1984, Alan Taylor residence, to be specific, because Black people could not stay at the main campus because of Group Areas Act. So we had to stay at a colored township called Wentworth outside of Durban. Old barracks of the World War II. Now, when we got there, it was a highly political environment. That's where your Steve Bikos came from, and all these big leaders, Nkosazana Zuma, Sibongiseni Dlomo. So highly political environment. Azaso was the main driving force there. And there were a few people, Azapo, Azasim, all of those. So this was a highly political environment. But the other side of it was that there was a lot of fun to be had, there. And I'm going to say something that may not be politically correct. But when I got to med school, to Natal, my brother Mteto was already there. He was, obviously, heavy into Azaso work and underground political activities. And so for me, people expected me to follow his route. I was not really, you can't not be politically conscious when you were in that environment. However, I didn't really have courage to actually take it to the next level of being politically active. So what was attractive to me, if there's a strike, I would not dissent. If they say go this way, I would go that way, but I would not be in the forefront, yeah. So, but anyway, to answer your question, Tau, so when I got there, I figured out that there was a profile for Xhosas, the Xhosas there. They liked to, they played rugby. They were highly political. They used to drink a lot. you know, and generally they were not so much into the people of the opposite sex, you know, unless when they've had enough to drink, you know, and then they would then ask whoever has got a car to take them to Mlazi. There was a place they called the Star Point 5 and Speak Easy, you know. So me, so when I got there, I thought, no, man. And then the Sutu group, they played softball, soccer, and all the nice girls from University of Uputatswana, Fortet, University of Transkei, you know, they would come to the blocks that had got the Sutu guys, you know. And so I looked and I said, which one here? I thought, I think I'm going to join Azagro, you know, Azanian Proving Organization. Azaso, it's good, but it's not for me. So I was a groovist when I was there. And Usillo was one of the fellow groovists. So when we were, you know, when we were in third year, you know, we used to write a test every Monday, but would be in parties every Saturday with Sillo, you know. And then on Sunday,
speak for yourself for now.
Yeah.
For now, just speak for yourself.
Oh, okay. But anyway,
don't look holy.
so I'm just trying to say I was an Azagro member at medical school, and to a point where when we were doing fourth year, we formed a group called a social club called The Beat Goes On, where we were buying records for each other, you know, and then we would be the life of a party. And one of my colleagues, you know, Mohele Bindlovu, he's now a doctor specializing in medicine at Bara. He would be the DJ. He still is a DJ even today. His first love is music. Medicine is like number 2. So I was always there. Where there were parties, you would find me. But there must be parties, and then there must also be, you know, a group of people who look nice there.
Yeah.
You haven't answered my second question.
Which one?
Your dancing
skills.
No, my dancing skills were very good. They were very good, Silo. You know, I used to keep up to date with the new trends in something that I actually took even after medical school. When I went to work in Tata and PE, myself and another friend of mine, Lincoln, we would actually be the ones who conduct the circles, you know, the dancing circles. You know, those people from the 90s, they know when you are having fun, there must be a circle and you call people to come in and all of that, but you must also showcase your skills. So yes, I was quite good. I was definitely better than you, Mdawin.
All right. So birthday today, we don't want to spoil it. Let's just leave it there for now.
Empele, just a follow-up. You know, I've seen a photo of you with some Pam, those momos indoor stuff, you know, and it's quite obvious then you were a lady killer, you know, and so I just got to wonder how many hearts got broken and how many times were yours broken in your youth, those hairy days.
Happy days.
Hey, now, that's a very difficult question. You see, my daughter is listening to this conversation, you know, but I must say, Nobeta, no, when I was younger, you know, God had blessed me with some looks.
Yes.
And those days, to have permed hair was the thing, you know. And for permed hair, Phoebe O'Brien and people like those were the idols, the kind of guys. Your perm, when you do this, it must, you know, we used to say, yeah, more. You know? When you do this, it must move, you know, and sometimes you decide, no, I want to have a blowout, you know, then especially when it's about to be refreshed, then, you know, there's some growth, then you do a blowout. So no better. So the reason why I don't have hair, part of it, I think, is the chemicals that I used from 1984 to about 1988. Besides that, obviously, there's even the male pattern baldness. You know, the amount of testosterone that is in my blood, you know, has also contributed to me losing hair. So yes, you know, I used to perm my hair. Pelokazi told me that I'm sort of an exhibitionist or a, you know, extrovert. Yes, I've always been. And, you know, September is my birth month, like you guys are celebrating with me now. And I was always lucky in September. You know, I would, you know, be able to find a new partner in September. You know,
oh yeah.
You know, so
Every
yes,
year.
Yeah?
Every year. A new partner
Yes,
every
you know,
year.
Stella, you know, there's only so much time you could give to a person. You know, experience. We all needed experience. But on a serious note, though, those were the challenges of youth, and they nearly put me into trouble because on my 5th year and 6th year, I nearly got killed by parents of one of the ladies that I had broken inhliziyo yakhe. They drove all the way from Pretoria to Durban.
Wow.
Actually tell me, Uguti, I must actually stop what I was doing. Yeah, but anyway, that's a long story. But twice in 5th year and also 6th year, at some point in 6th year, I had to be taken by police and escorted out of Durban because of the fact that somebody who had been my girlfriend disappeared in Durban, and they thought somehow I've got something to do with that. Kanti, she was, you know, obviously emotionally not in a good space, and she checked herself at a hotel, and they gave me an ultimatum that if she doesn't appear within a day, then I'm dead meat. So I had to be escorted out of Durban. So those things were things that came as a downside of these good looks and attracting people of the opposite sex, to an extent then that as soon as I got to qualify, it didn't take me long to decide to commit to one person so that I can be safe from...
Save yourself.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
You've got an experience I've never had. That's yeah.
All right, let's move on.
Doc, we said we're going to be candid, so you take the good and the bad. It's all in the name of fun. We're celebrating, so yeah. I think you said you're ready for this. No bad.
Yeah, they are coming to a couple of years ago when Professor Kolan Mayos, your classmate and friend and colleague, passed on, and you went out and talked about your own days of depression, and that you've been through what he had gone through, and at the time this was sort of well, nobody knew about it to start with, and it was still a topic that most people still regard as taboo. What drove you what gave you this courage to come out to talk about your own
depression?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Norbeta. That's a serious question now. I'm going to behave. Right. Look, Norbeta, we know, I think most of us here know that worldwide, but even here in South Africa, the issue of depression is a major problem, or say mental illness, but depression is a big problem. And there's still especially in the Black communities, there's still a stigma around issues of mental illness in general. So that's one part. Number two, and people don't understand, that depression is different from, schizophrenia, it's different from bipolar, it's different from many other, mental illnesses. And so that's the first part. There's low levels of awareness. There is a lot of stigma. And also as men generally in South Africa, but even, globally, because of the way we are socialized, we don't acknowledge when we are going through stress. We don't acknowledge when we are going through, depression or other types of mental illnesses. And if we do, we take long to go and seek help. So our help-seeking behavior is quite bad. And so what we tend to do is to escape from that reality and make use of drugs, alcohol, and other forms of escaping. And by the time we go to seek help, it's usually too late. And if you look at the number of people who, terminate their own lives, males are in the majority. Yet the number of people who actually seek help for depression, females are in the majority. Now, so for me, I had kept this secret, I'll say a secret of mine about going into major depression after I had gone through a divorce. I had kept it as my own thing. Only those people who were very close to me knew about that. But they didn't know the extent. So when, we lost Bongani through suicide, it took me back 20 years before, when I went through major depression, when I was in a deep hole, where I did not see the way forward. For the first time in my life, I had a life event. I had a major life social problem that I could not solve with all the brains that I thought I had, with all the abilities I thought I had. And maybe it was karma from all those broken hearts, from medical school and everywhere. It caught up with me, and I went through a quite tough, divorce situation. At a certain point, I was ready to kill myself, because I felt, what are people going to say? This young couple that looked so good, and there they are, and so I thought maybe killing myself is the better thing, because my practice failed as a result, because I could not give attention to it. So I was just in a messed up situation, and I thought the way out was just to terminate my life. But the only reason I did not do that was that I did not have an answer as to what was going to happen to my 3-year-old son at the time, and I felt I can't, it would be unfair of him to actually not have a parent just because I could not deal with the problem. So I then sought help and I got assisted. So by the time I shared the information, I wanted to say to people, even some of the people you see that you think are successful, some of them have had their time with mental illness, and some of them, like me, nearly terminated their lives because they could not deal with depression. And so I was trying to put a face to this condition that most people don't talk about. And since then, I've been an advocate for issues of mental illness, because I believe we still need to do more in our society to actually, get people to understand that there is help when you've got mental illness. We need to understand that being men, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to cry, and it's okay to seek help, and not get to a point where you are in a dark hole and you think the only way out is to kill yourself. So that really was the motivation.
Oh, that was very good, Bele. Actually, just a comment from me. I also had to acknowledge at the time that that depression was something that I never encountered. I never understood. I didn't know, but I then promised myself that I would learn so much about it, because it's something that affects more people than I know. Yeah. And that I think that you did a good job by coming out and talking about it. Thank you. I really must say we appreciate that.
Okay, thank you.
Perhaps on that similar note, Fundi, I mean, if you look at your life.
Hey, you guys. Oh, sorry. I think the gender balance, man. We need gender balance. It's male to male.
Doctor,
It's a follow-up.
Yes,
Dr. Eugenia hasn't asked a question ever since we started.
No.
Yeah.
We tend to
I'm listening to your story with how you got into medicine, because the purpose of this session with this kind of platform is to share our stories. There's a saying that there's a story of a doctor who got a qualification and went and gave to the father to say, Dad, thank you. Now I want to go and do art, performing arts even. So what would you share with the young people? A balance between pursuing your passion, listening to your parent. I've got two questions. Listening to your parent and still get the balance. Because you've got an entrepreneurial impartation from your mom and running a shop, but you still pursued your parent. Not to say, I just want to do this money, but later on it converged. What advice would you give to young people? Whether it's listening to parents and still live your life, you were still there, full of life. Even the advice that once you're studying, you party, but you still go and write the exam on Monday. So what advice will you give to young people or even adults who aspire to do certain things in life? I got a last second question that I don't monopolize. Yeah. If you can answer that, then I'll come with one follow-up.
All right.
Excuse me 1 minute.
All right.
I only have one.
Yeah. All right. Look, the question is, did I just do medicine because my dad wanted me to do medicine? Or did I do medicine because I also loved medicine?
Okay.
And what about the entrepreneurial side? Now, I had both of those influences, like I had said earlier, the entrepreneurial influence growing up. And in fact, my first entrepreneurial venture was, I had 2 bicycles. I had made a bet with my parents that I wanted a bicycle. And they said, if you get to be number 1 in standard 3, grade 5 now, we will buy you a second-hand bicycle. And if you are number 1 the following year in standard 4, we'll buy you a brand new bicycle. So I managed to top the classes on both years. So I ended up with 2 bicycles. So I would charge people 5 cents, for
a ride.
For a ride. Yes, I'm a ray, and so I would collect money like that, So that was my first venture into entrepreneurship. So entrepreneurship has always been within me. So when I qualified as a doctor, that's even going into private practice is part of entrepreneurship, However, I still felt it's not enough. I think I needed to do more. So now the question though, did I do medicine because I wanted to? I was very clear that that's what I wanted. I wanted to do medicine. That's why I said my dad just found fertile ground, on somebody who already wanted to do that, because he had tried it with my big brother and he had failed. And my sister, he also wanted my sister to actually do medicine as well. But when she was doing standard 9, she was involved in a bus accident, a school bus tour, or school tour using a bus. And she got some head injuries. And my dad said, okay, because you've had some head injury, I don't think you'll cope doing medicine. You must go and do physiotherapy. physiotherapy is like medicine, but you'll just be a doctor of hunchbacks. So I'm good doctor was form. No, it is less demanding than medicine. So that's how she ended up becoming a physiotherapist, because my dad felt from whatever, yeah. So, but anyway, so my dad was trying hard to channel us. And in fact, your question is so relevant, Dr. Eugis, because Pelokazi's first love was performing arts. And my dad pushed her to do physio because she did not believe, said, how many Brendas is 1 in a million, you know? So you are going to get a degree, and only when you've got a degree, then you can go and try to be whatever. So he was that type of parent who did not respect, you know, the non-scientific side of things. Even people were doing history and geography, those kind of courses, he did not respect them, you know? So he was a bit too much like that. But to come to your answer, I felt that, you know, after 5 years of practicing as a doctor, own practice, something was missing, both from an intellectual point of view, but also I needed to do more from an entrepreneurial point of view. And so when I talked to Mteto and he talked about this MBA, light bulb moment, you know, I'll be able to do both of these things. And so I then said, thank you very much, University of Natal, with your dermatology post. I don't want to specialize in dermatology. I'm okay with my master's in family medicine. I'm going to do business management, mix it with medicine, and actually be a consultant. So I consult to employers. So instead of worrying about, you know, am I not leaving medicine? No, I did not leave medicine, but I'm practicing medicine in a different way, where I am impacting groups of employees. You know, if it's a national company, you know, so basically I have tried to marry the two influences. But the key issue, know the gifts you have, pursue the dream that you have. As much as you are alone at university, know why you are there. Now, in my family, you know, we were always told that you must know the situation in your family. You can have fun and do whatever, but know that at the end of the year, you must pass. Because we got to high school and also medical school via merit bursaries, because we wanted to take the load off our mother, who was the one who was educating us, because our dad spent a lot of his resources educating the children from his first wife. And so we needed to then, you know, assist our mom by making sure that we are serious with the books, get the bursaries, and pass. So no matter how much partying I did, Sunday I'm with my books, and Monday I pass. So focus, dare to dream, follow your dream, commit to your dream, and don't allow anything to actually take you away from that, even fun, you know. So that's really what I could say, Dr. Eugis.
Okay, thank you.
I
had I'm allowed one question. Maybe at the end,
we can rotate.
You can say what would you be? How would you like to be remembered for in life?
Okay.
You should write a book. Your book, 20 years from now, what should be in that book? You can think about it, answer it at the end, or maybe now if you want.
No. I'll answer it at the end. I've actually started to think about what kind of book would I write, but I think, like I said, I am one person who wants to be unique. All right. I want yes, you know, I want to be unique. So when you say you are a doctor, people put you in a box and expect a certain kind of person, you know. So I am not an ordinary doctor, right? But I'm still gonna figure out what is it. But I've actually spent more time being an entrepreneur than actually practicing medicine actively. So yeah, so but I'll answer you at the end, Dr. Eugis. But
Okay.
what I would like to be remembered for, and this is maybe the point, after all my struggles that put me through depression, it was actually a very good thing, because it was for the first time an opportunity for me to get to know who is Fundi. I had been on autopilot all these years, you know, passing no SAP. I've never had a SAP. I've never failed anything. Life was just a cruise. So for the first time, I had a situation I could not deal with. And that situation brought me down to Mother Earth. I had to then understand, who am I? What values really, you know, what are my values? You know, what are my gifts? What are my talents? You know, what is my purpose here on life? I mean, you know, on Mother Earth. You know, what is my purpose really? And so I spent a lot of time, you know, reading Christian books and motivational books, trying to understand what my life purpose is. And clearly, you know, my life purpose is still related to healthcare. You'll never hear me talking about mining or anything like that. So my reason for being here on earth is to contribute to the improvement of the quality of life of humanity through health interventions. That's who I am.
That's good.
All right. So
Thank
that's,
you.
Beautiful. That's why I am here. I must be remembered for the contribution I've made to humanity in terms of improving their quality of life because of the interventions that have been able to facilitate and administer. All right.
Thank you, Beth.
Great.
Can I just come in? Dr. Mutaung was about to give us a follow-up question when Doc was talking about the depression story, and perhaps this would be an opportune time for us not to lose the follow-up question that he was going to pose. So maybe if he can come in before you, Zipporah, just on that follow-up question, please.
Yeah, I think he touched, you know, I mean, what I was really going to ask was what kind of lessons he drew from that major life event into the future. And I think you've sort of touched on it, because getting into the business world, I mean, there's ups and downs, there's you know, major challenges from time to time, and it requires, you know, and a considerable amount of resilience.
Let me answer now.
Yeah.
Let me answer. Yeah.
Okay.
What are the lessons? Well, I think the lessons are in life, you know, some of the life challenges that you come across that may seem to be, you know, an impediment to you going forward could actually be the very things that can actually give you a takeoff. All right, let me explain. At the time I was going through what I was going through, and I was ready to terminate my life, it's because I did not see any way forward. 21 years later, 21 years later, or 22 years later, that was 1998. Yeah, 22 years later, I look back at that incident. It has made me a better version of myself. It humbled me, because up until that time, I thought I could do anything. You know, I had ability, I had the brains, I had everything. But for the first time, it showed me that there are times where all what you think you have is not enough to deal with a challenge. And if you honestly sit down and confront it and look at what are the lessons, you know, the lessons are, it's important to actually be humble. I was a bit arrogant, I must say, before then, because, you know, life was easy. It's important to have humility in success. But the other thing, with all me, you know, my cruising through life up until then, and taking things for granted, I no longer had any real relationship with the Creator. Okay, God. You know, I didn't really see the need to be going to church and this and that. So that incident brought me closer, you know, from a spiritual point of view. I'm not even going to say religious, from a spiritual point of view. You know, when I was at medical school, I used to have issues about people who were SCF members, Student Christian Fellowship, and a high school student Christian movement, because I always thought, these guys, hypocrites and this and that. And I had a lot of things. Please, those people who are, you know, please, that's how I felt at the time, you know, because I knew no better. You know, sometimes they did things which were opposite of what they said must be done. Somebody says, you know, no dating, no whatever, no courtship, no sex before marriage. The next minute they are pregnant. So those things were problems for me. So anyway, now from that experience, I was brought in kicking and screaming to developing a relationship with my creator. That is something that I got from that point, that I didn't have for many years. So those are just the lessons. The lessons are, you know what, some of your worst situations can become your best situations in terms of going forward. Looking back at that situation, I'm actually thankful for it, because of that, I am much more clear-minded as a person. I appreciate people better. You know, during that time, I had lots of friends before. I got to know who are my real friends. I was left with a handful of friends. You know, the majority of people I was partying with, I thought were friends. They all ran away. So it taught me that it's important to differentiate between acquaintances and friends, and not waste your energy with acquaintances. You know, invest in friendships, people that, you know, you can always call upon, you know, when you are going through stuff. Instead, those acquaintances, they went around gossiping about me after they had got all the juicy information, you know. So the lessons therefore are, you need some spiritual grounding, you know, some level of faith. You know, you need to, it helps you with hope, it helps you with meaning of life, but also it made me understand that whatever gifts I have are not for me, they are to benefit fellow human beings. So all of those things are things I got to know during that 6 months I was sitting and not working, trying to get myself back to understanding, you know, who am I really, you know. That's when I got to pray. I even have the scriptures in my head. Habakkuk 2, verse 2 to 4, you know, you must have a vision, write it down, you know, and then you must meditate on it. At an appointed time, it will come. I learned how to pray. I didn't know how to pray. Now I know how to pray. All right. I know that you start by acknowledging God. You know, I know that, you know, you ask for forgiveness for things you've done that are not in line with what God expects of you. You know, I know that, you know, before you can petition God and ask for stuff, pray for other people, you know, and only then do you actually ask for stuff from God in the name of, you know, the middleman. So those are the lessons. And I'm forever grateful, because I developed resilience. I got to know how deep my resilience is through that life experience. And so it's not all bad when you go through stuff. There's a lot of upside.
That's true.
Honest.
That's true.
If you are honest with yourself and learn, but if you continue blaming the next person,
I think it's important. It was important to share those.
You don't learn anything. So I got to know that if you blame, you are immature. If you take some of the blame, you are on your road to dealing with the matter maturely. But if you don't blame anyone and take responsibility, That's a mature way of doing things. I learned that during that time. So up until the time I had that mindset, all I was seeing is the wrong I thought was done by the other party, you know? So, but as soon as that, I stopped blaming and I looked at what could I have done better. That's when I started to see life differently. And the funny thing is that from that incident, we actually more of friends, you know, more respectful to each other post than before. And yeah, so that's life. You know what? Yeah.
That's my doctor, pastor.
All right.
Okay. It's my turn. Yes, yes. I've got two questions. One, it's got to do with you know, your business. You have the Proactive Health Solutions as your business. I think you founded in 1999.
Yeah.
So you're running a business, doctor, at the moment, and you're also taking advantage of the digital economy. You're running a business on taking advantage of a social media platform in particular, and you're developing a lot of content, which is something that is so important today in today's times when we talk about the way we use digital channels in marketing. You connect a lot of interviews with important people in society. Some of them are overseas and all that. And at the same time, you find time to interact with us on radio stations, on television, and 702. You know, so some of the questions that I had from my friends when I told them that I was going to be on this panel of friends of Dr. Fundi, two of my friends, they said, can you ask him where he gets the time? Does he actually make time for his wife, his family? Because he is on social media, he's everywhere, you know? So, but tell us how you make time for everything. That's my first question.
Yeah, that's a difficult question, Ezipora. Yes, you know, I think one of the things that I think I'm lucky in terms of being able to do is to manage my time efficiently. You know, a lot of people may think that, you know, all I do is to sit and interact on social media. No. I balance my time. There's time for family, you know, and, you know, spend time with my daughter, spend time with a wifey, you know. I also have time, you know, for work, as in the one that pays my bills, which is Proactive Health Solutions. I give time to Proactive Health Solutions, but I also have aspirations, you know, for things I need to achieve going forward. So by 2012, I was ready to start a media company. All right, I was ready to start a media company that would then do some of the things I'm doing now. But the business had some challenge. I had to put those plans aside. So all of what you guys are seeing are baby steps towards a media company that I will be launching, all right, which will then be, but it really has to focus largely on Matters Health. Matters Health, because I believe that health is not given due attention by the current media. If you just look at the current COVID situation, you know, there hasn't been much public health education to the people on the ground, let alone speaking to people in a language that people understand. You know, the minister will talk, president will talk, but there's no follow-up to unpack and break down information in a way that people can understand. And so those kind of things, they just show you that, health is a by the way. Most of the broadcasters don't really give much time unless there is some juicy story around tenders and PPEs and all of that. But really, in terms of empowering people with the necessary knowledge so that they can change their behavior, improve their risk profile, be diagnosed early for problems, it is not there. So my mission with the use of digital technologies is actually to fill in that vacuum, but do so in a way that is entertaining. Because again, people get bored with listening to health issues because we tend to use big words and it was like we're lecturing people. So infotainment, or edutainment is what I'm looking for. Making people to learn without them feeling like they are learning. So basically, that's where I'm going. These technologies that I have, developed in the last year were part of that building block. So when COVID came, I was 70% into developing my technology platform, and I decided to use it for good. And now I need to take it to the next level of it being professional, be able to rival your Dr. Phil's and your Dr. Oz or Dr. 90210. But not only that, have reality TV, reality shows, a day in the life of an asthmatic, a day in the life of a diabetic, poor service delivery in hospitals, follow up those kind of cases to say what went wrong, So basically, I will continue to be a leader and a CEO, well, maybe I'll end up being a chairman, find a CEO to run PHS, because I want to focus a lot on developing this media conglomerate that will focus on matters health. So when people then see me doing all these things, I'm actually practicing what I will be, leveraging all these technologies
in a couple of years.
And I can say without fear of whatever that, I think I'm a bit ahead with, if I compare myself with other people from my profession when it comes to this space. If I have to say so myself. And but
I've got my last question.
I want to actually make sure that that media company comes alive and changes the landscape.
Okay, my last question is around how it's you and your family, okay, but being specific to you being a younger brother to Mteto Nyati, whom we know that is a very highly regarded, much respected business leader in South Africa. He's now currently the chief executive of Altron. I work at Altron. So the question is, what is it like to have such a high profile brother? And how does it feel like in his shadow?
Oh. Yeah, when you've got a brother like Mteto, who is an achiever extraordinaire, it's not easy. It's not easy because people tend to expect that you are a clone of that person and expect nothing less than what they have seen in him. I did touch on it when I got to med school, that he was actually quite active politically with Azaso, and they expected me to also be like him, So there's this thing about expectations. When I was doing fourth year, my younger brother came to med school to do engineering, same residence, and people approached him to say, why is Fundile not involved on matters of politics. You know, he is passing, he's got no excuse. Some of the comrades are failing, and now he is passing, he should be able to, no. So the point I'm trying to make is, people need to understand that we shared, you know, or we inhabited the same womb at different times, right? But the fact that we shared the same womb or inhabited the same womb does not mean the product of that womb will be the same, you know? So, you know, what this has taught me though, is that firstly, because Mteto is an achiever, there was no way that you also had to keep up. So if Mteto goes to St. John's College and he gets a merit bursary so that his studies are free for standard 8, 9, 10, as the person coming after him, there's no other way. I must go to St. John's and I must get that bursary. Right? And then when Mteto finishes and then goes to university, you know, had he chosen medicine, he already had a merit bursary ready for him. But when he said no to medicine, he lost that bursary from Durban, you know, and then he went to do pre-engineering and then engineering, and then he got to study free later through Afrox. So the point is, when I then had to go to varsity, I also had to make sure that I have such good grades that I get a bursary so that I study free. So he sets the pace and it challenges you. When I was in high school, I think standard 9, Sister Lane, one of the Irish nuns who was teaching maths, we were in a maths class and she did not understand why I could not answer a certain maths question in class. And what she said was, Nyati, you are pretending to be a fool. You know, so she could not understand that I could not answer a certain math question because Mteto had been her student 2 years before and got maths Olympiad, science Olympiad. And so in her mind, my ability to deal with maths must be at the same level as Mteto. So it's been a challenge, but a challenge I welcomed was I had to step up all the time. But then I decided that at the first opportunity to take a different direction, I will do so that I can be measured for myself and not for, you know. So when you took engineering, I took medicine, right? And so I had to create my own legacy, you know, in terms of my performance at medical school, you know, from that.
Thank you for that.
So,
Thank you, Doug.
so, but it's not a bad thing. It is very good that you know, you lift up your game and make sure that you don't fail the family, you know. But it's also important to have your own direction and not be a copycat. And so, you know, right now he's doing very well in his chosen direction. I'm doing well in my chosen direction. I'm more he's more risk averse than me. You know, my appetite for risk is actually much higher than his, you know.
So you're not in the shadow.
No, I am not in the shadow. If anything, we complement each other. And so so I'm actually glad to have a brother like him. He is actually one of my idols, you know, or you know, people I look up to in terms of how he carries himself, both from a life perspective and also from a business perspective. But I also acknowledge that we are different.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Doug. Thank you.
Okay. I think if we can have questions, I would like to invite questions from the audience. That's you know, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, please send those questions through, because I'm sure there's people who are dying to ask Doc some questions, and they've been friends with him on one of the platforms on social media, and they want to ask him a thing or two, or he intrigues them. Please feel free, guys, send through the messages. We're waiting for them. Doc is ready to take on those questions and respond to you. Yeah. Thank you. Dr. Mutaung, it looks like you want to say something there.
No, just maybe just to deviate a little bit and go to something else. So there was a time, Fundile, when you became team doctor for Mthatha Bucks, and going back to our days at Res, thinking about your involvement in football. I mean, you were once described as the sort of player. I mean, obviously you'd insist on being, in the team, and once in the field, you'd kick everything that comes your way, whether it's a football or a person and that sort of thing. And you'd run all over the field kind of aimlessly, and one wouldn't know whether or not you understood the difference between, for instance, left back and right back. So when you went to join Mthatha Bucks, was it more about improving your knowledge on football, and perhaps just take us through your involvement in Mthatha Bucks?
Okay, thank you, Doc. When I was at med school, first thing, I did not drink. Okay, that's one thing. I did not drink. But I had lots of fun without alcohol. That's number one. Number two, when it came to sports, I really was not into sports at all. I would look at people like Silo who were playing tennis and some softball. Now, where I came from, softball was played by girls. But for the first time, I found that softball can be played by men, when I got to Natal. Mainly the guys who came from Northern Transvaal who were into that space. Right. Now, so I was not a sports guy, but for the purposes of being able to travel, if there's a varsity trip to Wits, I would be in the rugby team, just for me to be able to get a free ride, to come to Johannesburg or to go to Forte or wherever, knowing that the rugby guys will be so barbaric that more often than not, the rugby match would not be played. All right. They will be more involved. Umkhabulo. Umkhabulo is the political whatever. So, but I would go under the name of rugby. So basically, I was not a sports guy. Got to Mthatha as an intern, and I was approached if I could become a medical doctor to support this team. And they were not going to pay me, but they were going to allow me to travel with them. If there are matches in Cape Town or in Durban or in Joburg. Because of the limited amount of money I had, I was earning 1,300 as an intern, of which 800 was taken by my Jetta 16 valve. So I had very little money left. So I still needed to travel. So I actually joined them because I wanted to travel. But funny enough, I got to enjoy being part of the soccer team. I started knowing what a striker does, what a left back does, and a right back does, and a midfielder. And at that time, I was a Kaizer Chiefs supporter, before then. And then I had to now decide, do I become a Kaizer Chiefs supporter? But then there's my home team as well, and I'm a doctor here. So I ended up having to cut my ties with Kaizer Chiefs and became an Mthatha Bushbucks, supporter. But still, I would have some challenges at times when they were playing against Kaizer Chiefs. But I would be very happy when they were playing against Orlando Pirates, which is Dr. Mutaung's team. So really, my involvement as a sports doctor was not really because I loved being a sports doctor, but I loved the benefits of being a sports doctor. But I continued for 5 years. Even when I went to PE to work in PE, I still remained their sports doctor. And for the time that I was involved there, I enjoyed it. Some people say I must never mention that on my CV, especially my friend Lincoln Mali. He says, no self-respecting man can actually tell the nation that he was a supporter of Mthatha Bushbucks, which is now history. So yeah, but at least I never went back to become a Kaizer Chiefs supporter, because it's serious being a supporter of a soccer team. You invest so much and your heart gets broken so often. Kaizer Chiefs supporters, I'm sure they can relate with what I've just said now. They lost the league on the last day. So Tau, that was my motivation of being a sports doctor.
Great stuff.
Okay, we have a question that has come through from Dr. Theo Mutua Frendo. The question is, what is your ultimate dream for the Dr. Fundi media platforms? Your ultimate dream.
I think it's already, I've already answered it. It's a baby step. What I'm doing now are baby steps, trying out a few things, but ultimately I am going to have a media conglomerate that is involved on many things, talk shows, reality TV, and all of those kind of things. Sorry, man, I just need to switch off something. Nothing is messing me up. All right, sorry. Okay, so basically, within the next 3 years, I will be running a media company that will leverage the digital platforms. I might even have a fully fledged TV and studios and all of that. So what I'm doing now, I'm practicing to be that. But yeah, that's the end game.
Thank you.
Don't forget us. Don't forget us that you used us for practice when you're big. Remember us in your paradise.
Definitely, I won't forget you, Dr. Eutis. No, because to have real doctors now. Dr. Mtaung, Dr. Eutis is a real doctor. I normally say we are doctors with a bachelor degree. Yes. And she is a doctor with a PhD. To get people like her coming to grace my shows, it's important that you repay them.
Absolutely.
Actually, just for that statement, you owe me.
Actually,
sport. Don't mind him.
Yeah. No better.
Yeah. Actually, because I had to be held in a leash for a while.
Oh, and, sorry.
Some of the comments or follow-up questions from the previous answers from you, I had to forget. And but one, you this is from your father. Very, very clever, and which resulted in sort of all of you, the children, being high IQ, and I sometimes wonder, but of course the question has already been asked. But on my own, I've often wondered, you're all achievers as a family. Your siblings and all of you. Now it must be quite difficult sometimes to measure up in such a family, where there must be some bit of a pressure, but that you dare not fail, you dare not be under par, and so it's just my comment on that. But the main thing that I was coming to. You know, for the audience sake, let me just explain. A couple of days ago, I contracted this COVID, you know, and so then Fundile was the first to comment in the Facebook, in the social media. Hey, no better, that is COVID. Go and go and take medication. And this was not the first time he does that. Whenever I say I've got a medical health challenge, he'll always be the first to. He'll even actually give me prescription, even without even first examining me. So seemingly the medicine comes as a second nature to you. What would you have been, Bele, if you are not a doctor? What else could you have been?
You know, firstly, one must look at what were the options when one was doing matric. There were not many options, you know, as a result of apartheid. You had very little options. You had doctor, lawyer, accountant, you know,
And a policeman.
A lot of
policeman.
you know, civil servants, you know, you know, as clerks in Umtata and all of those things. So what would I have been had I not been a doctor? One of the things, when I look back, I would have loved to be is to do actuarial science. But those days, there were no opportunities for Black people to actually do actuarial science. You know, in fact, I didn't even know. But looking back, if I had to, you know, compare the medical journey and the actuarial science, and to them, you know, what I like about them, the ability to look at issues and forecast, you know, what could be this situation in 5 years, in 10 years, all right? But okay, forget the fact that they overestimated the COVID-19 numbers and also the deaths by a big margin, not doing it for the first time. Even with HIV in the early 2000s, they overestimated the numbers because it's educated guesses. But still, I think if those days the opportunity was there for that, I would have found it difficult to choose between medicine and that. However, medicine, it's still a very good, noble profession, but I think one must not join it for monetary purposes because it's no longer that lucrative. It's a highly regulated space. You must join it because you actually, you know, you are in love with it. You won't be poor, but most times you won't be extremely rich. You know, everybody is trying to squeeze you. You know, the medical aids, the hospitals, everybody. So I don't regret becoming a doctor. It's you know, I still do my work even now. I enjoy clinical medicine. However, I don't see myself sitting in a surgery the whole day waiting for patients. One of the things that used to frustrate me was to sit on a Monday, see 80 patients. Half of those, they want me to write sick notes when they were not sick. You know, because then I was you know, they were trying to make me, you know, to be part of
some
illegality.
Corruption.
You know,
my last question, Ben. My last question, not to cut you short. Last question, very last. You a friendly fellow and hardworking, but I'm sure there are things that piss you off, for a lack of a better word.
Yeah.
And there are times you want to relax. What really drives you up the wall? And how do you relax? What do you do? Do you go to, are you a golf man who goes and play golf? Do you run? How do you relax? And what pisses you off?
Let me start with what pisses me off. I do not like people who are fake. Okay, so when you are in Johannesburg, you have a lot of people who assume certain personas, even the type of Facebook messages and whatever that they put, they are trying to give an impression of something that they are not. So for me, I don't like people who are not authentic. That's number one. It pisses me off when I realize that you are trying to make yourself to be something that you are not. Number two, I do not like people who lie. I don't like people who lie. All right. Number three, as much as I'm this jolly guy, but I do not like to be disrespected. All right. I don't like to be disrespected. I try to respect people. I try, to give people. For me, I give you 10 out of 10. You work yourself down, So I try to do that to people. So when somebody comes into contact with me and disrespects me, I don't like that. Last one, I hate tribalism. I hate racism. Those are the two things. So tribalists, I find it very difficult to interact with them. By tribalist, the fact that, oh, you are Xhosa, then people think this, oh, you are Zulu, you are Pedi, you are whatever. There's a lot of these stereotypes about different people, but generally, I hate tribalism. I hate racism. Yeah.
How do you chill?
How do I chill? I go to social media and talk crap. No, but on a serious note, funny enough, although I'm a couch potato when it comes to sport, I hardly go. I play social golf. I hardly go and play golf because it takes too much time, at least 5 to 6 hours, and I just feel it's too much time for me. That I could just spend chasing a little ball. All right. So, but I'm a soccer fanatic. All right.
Even if you kick everybody.
Yes, I'm a Manchester United supporter, and I'm in the same boat as the Kaizer Chiefs supporters nowadays. My heart gets broken very, very often. So I watch sport weekends. I watch sport. I watch motorsport. I watch soccer. I watch rugby when it's the rugby season. So those are the things I like to do. I used to do lots of movies before, but I do it once in a while now. So how do I relax? Actually, it's something I still need to find a solution for. I don't know how to switch off, to be honest. I don't know how to switch off, and it's something I need to learn. I need to be taught how to switch off. Last year, I attended a mindfulness workshop, hoping that I'll be able to then use those skills to try and yoga and mindfulness. But I still have not been able to master that. But I need to find a way. You can't be switched on 24/7, 365. So it's a problem. So you've actually zoomed in at a problem. I don't know how to really switch off. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Norbeta. Thank you so much for those questions. We've got two questions that have come through on social media. One question is from Pomatu. She says, concerning spiritual counseling, how do you find marrying traditional medical practice and the not so conventional holistic approach?
See, now she chooses to be controversial. Okay. All right. Look, in 2001, a certain doctor called Dr. Sumalski from, I think, from the US, did a study on patients who were terminal. You know, what is the best way to manage those patients in a holistic sense? And one of the things that he came out with was that he decided to expand the idea of holistic approach to health. Before then, it was biopsychosocial, that is physical, you know, mental, emotional, and social. But after the study that he did, he then came up with a new model that expanded on BPS, and it was called biopsychosocial spiritual, meaning he brought in this fourth component called spirituality. And in him, he actually pioneered that to say, if you are dealing with a patient in a holistic sense, you can't leave spirituality aside. So to answer her then, I am an advocate as a family physician. You know, if you've done family medicine, holistic approach to managing patients is our approach. So as a family physician, I subscribe to the BPSS, and this is the trend globally. People are rediscovering their spirituality. People are looking for answers from spirituality. And as medical people, we can't continue to close our minds, you know, to the role of spirituality. So there's a lot of literature coming out from India, you know, from other parts of the world, you know, and so for me, spirituality is part and parcel of treating a patient. And I've been talking about this for so long, Dr. Eugis, I was supposed to submit a concept note before COVID, and my research is on the role of African spirituality on mental illness. So I am basically looking to sort of pioneer the role of spirituality, because I am convinced that there is a role that African spirituality or spirituality plays, you know, in some of the people that we may diagnose to be presenting with, you know, a mental disorder as per the DSM-5. In fact, the DSM-5, which is the book that we use to diagnose people, in 2013, it was released in 2013, May, DSM-5 now has a new section of cultural syndromes, all right? But most of these cultural syndromes are from most of the different continents, but with very few from Africa. So we have a duty as Africans to actually research African cultural syndromes that may present physically or that may present with mental illnesses. Publish them in things like Lancet, British Medical Journals, and all of that. Because funny enough, people from Europe are already coming in and researching this. So to answer Mbo, for me, I don't see any problem as long as you don't confuse the two. There is a role for spirituality, there's a role for orthodox medicine. And where you don't have answers, well, there's many things we don't have answers for. We say idiopathic in orthodox medicine. The idiot doesn't know the pathology. You know, idiopathic. Some of those idiopathic could be actually spiritually, you know, related. And working with a spiritual healer, Pelokazi, we have been able to actually pilot an intervention that includes spirituality, where orthodox medicine has not been able to provide solutions, but it's still early days. So that's really what I am interested in. Before I'm recalled by the guy upstairs, I would love to have, you know, achieved something in that area and leave some legacy in the area of knowledge, you know, development in terms of spirituality and mental health.
Okay, thank you. I hope Mpho has been answered. I've got from social media again 3 more questions. They're quite short. The one question from Nwabisa Ntlama: what is this one thing that you are secretly good at that people or the public does not know about you? And then the next one: What kind of father are you? And do you talk excellence to your children? Okay, I'll leave it at those two, and then
I'll start with the last one. I was born from parents that accepted nothing but excellence.
Yes.
And so it comes natural to me. Excellence is what I demand of the people I work with. Excellence is what I demand of my kids. What I don't do, which my father did, is to channel them as to what they must choose. I want people to choose what they think they are good at, and then be the best they can be in that. So my son chose to do engineering, and he wanted to do computer sciences, electrical engineering and computer sciences. And so I said, fine, that's your choice. And then he chose to go and do it at MIT because they were the university that is providing the best program in the world in that area. So I want to give my kids the best opportunity in that they have chosen. If one of them decides that, no, I want to go and do art, then I'll try and help them to go to the best art school, in the world. So because I want them to be globally competitive. So excellence to me is non-negotiable.
Okay. There's that first part from the question from Nomilo Mbondo. What kind of father are you?
I am a father that actually relates very well with his children. I don't really want to be more like a father. I want to be more like a friend, to my kids, because that's how my dad was with us. He didn't even want us to call him father. We used to call him Budi, rather than Daddy or Dada. So, I'm very close to my kids, and I try whenever I have time, and I make time to get them to share with me what they want to do and what they want to achieve in life. Already my daughter wants to be a medical doctor. I did not push her. She wants to be a reconstructive surgeon, and she already knows that she wants to aim at one of the top 10 institutions in the world where she can go and do that. I did not influence her. That's what she wants, and I will support her in terms of what she wants.
And then the last question is from Toliswa Kakana.
Yes.
What would you deeply wish for if there were no obstacles? Say I had a magic wand and removed them.
What would I deeply wish for?
Wish for if there were no obstacles. If she had a magic wand to remove the obstacles, what is it that you deeply wish for?
Well, as an entrepreneur, what I would deeply wish for is, South Africa prioritizing entrepreneurship. We talk entrepreneurship in South Africa, but we don't actually, enable entrepreneurs, and make sure that they've got access to capital, either to start ventures or to grow ventures. How I wish South Africa was like the US, where you've got a lot of venture capitalists who are prepared to back up people with solid ideas, so that we can create new entities, in South Africa. What we have is people looking for employment from the same old organizations that are downsizing. So we will never solve the unemployment problem, as South Africa, for as long as we are looking at the big blue chip companies, to provide solutions when it comes to the social ills of this country. And
Absolutely.
So for me, I wish for a change in the mindset of our government to actually back entrepreneurship in a big way and actually teach entrepreneurship from high school, so that we can, even if somebody doesn't go to varsity, they can employ themselves. Other African countries are doing so much better when it comes to entrepreneurship. And we in South Africa, we are doing very badly. There are all the stumbling blocks for anyone who wants to be entrepreneur And so in my 21 years of entrepreneurship, the biggest challenges I've found was when you want to grow and expand your business, the limitations are always funding. Commercial banks, very, very risk averse. The development banks that are funded by the state, they basically, unless you've got connections, you won't really get much out of that. They will make you sign lots of forms, but at the end, you know, they are not so good at backing. So entrepreneurs in South Africa are on their own. So that is my issue.
All right, that's all the questions that we've got from social media. I think we've just gone 9:07 p.m. now, which is 2 hours, 7 minutes from the time we started. And so perhaps what I would like to do for every single one of the friends that are on the panel is to say thank you so much for affording us the time that you gave us to this conversation. But maybe we'll have a last comment from each of you, whether it's a question or just a comment that you'd like to make. Remember, we're celebrating with Ufundile. We're celebrating his 53rd birthday. And this is not just a conversation, but this is a conversation that's part of a celebration of his life and what he means to us. And so I will start from my screen. The first person on my left is Zipporah. So I'll start with you, Zipporah. Any words to Udok?
Yeah. Dr. Fundi, keep being yourself. You know, you may not be everyone's cup of tea, but, you know, just looking at the level of people you're able to attract to come and share knowledge and share insights on this channel, on the Dr. Fundi channel, you can see that there's a lot of respect out there, just based on the level of people you are able to bring in to come and share with the South African society their ideas and knowledge. So there's something so special about you, about how people connect to you and how they can't say no when they're invited to come and participate on your channel. And they are attracted. One of the things that could be attracting them is because you're truly yourself. You're authentic. You know, you are vulnerable at times with the things that you say, you know. You really are being truthful with your feelings and your experiences. You know, the story that you shared about your depression and your divorce, and you really do comment a lot on divorce discussions on social media. So I'm saying keep being yourself. You know, you have thousands of us behind you who appreciate your personality. I know you like saying that when we are papa, you're extrovert. That is not a bad thing. And I keep saying that every time you mention, it's not a bad thing. There's so many young people who are looking up to you, and you are just a role model. So keep being yourself and keep empowering us with the knowledge that you've been sharing all along, and keep being a good friend. Thank you for that.
Yeah, lebuha mahomo. Kudu kamata.
Kamata.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Zipporah. And Nobet, you're next in line.
Okay, thank you, Pelegas. Bele, I commented on your brother Mteto's post today when he was wishing you a happy birthday. That, you know, a light that is you are that light that nobody can miss it. That is shining for everyone, and that's what you are. And we are proud of you. We're proud that you have overcome, you know, things that could have held some people back, and that could have been an excuse for them. not to achieve, but you've used those excuses as stepping stones to take you to the top. I want to say we looking up to you, and we are still expecting a lot from you. You are an inspiration to us. I know you want to do your PhD, and that would be also a motivator for me to also dust up my writing skills and follow suit. We are grateful today to have been given this opportunity to be in this panel. When we spoke, I was touched, I must say, to be one of the people who are going to be delving into your life. You've had, achieved more than people WH, and keep up that Wenabele, and I know you are humble, remain humble, and with that you're gonna achieve even more. And we pray that God would still preserve you and shower you with knowledge and with love, so that you multiply His blessing on His people. And I know you in your 60s, uzoba ngumfundisi. I can bet on that. I'm looking forward to that. And Pelokazi, you are such a good sister. I know I'm going to take a bit of the shine from your big brother and give it to you. And I know you are a pillar in that household, in that Nyati household. And I say, keep on supporting those young men. And and of course now ungazilibali yaqonda ompela. So ndiyabulela, I thank you, and I thank you, Dr. Zepora, for sharing this platform. I'm also honored to have
Dr. Zepora, honorary Zepora.
Yeah. Thank you, Ma'am Belle.
I'm prophet.
Prophecy. It must come
I'm in the midst of doctors, so
Thank you so much, Nobeta. Siyabulela bhuti, siyabulela kakhulu.
Thank you, Ebalomti.
Mamela Belle ndikorekisha. Elgama xa liphelele. Uceba lumthi wasemahlathini. Ceba lumthi wasemahlathini. This was a song that was written by Bika Q, Ben Jamzash, in honor of Tiosoka. I'll send you things, just Google Ceba lumthi wasemahlathini, you'll find it there. So my father gave me that name when I was being baptized, and umfundisi asked uthi ngibani amagama lomntwana Nobet ngubhongo Thamsanqa Ceba lomthi wasemahlathini. Now he was stuck on Ceba lomthi wasemahlathini. Nobeta khawuphindele lesithathu ngathi ndithi nguceba lomthi wasemahlathini. So that's that. Yeah, that's my present to you, Bella, that explanation.
I know. Just sorry to speak. Yes. One thing when I know better, I mentioned how pushy our dad was. I think I need to say this. Before he passed, maybe 5 years before he passed, he said, you guys, I was the first person to be a university graduate in the family, in spite of the long history of teachers. I was the first. And in my 50s, I went to do masters in education. So if none of you get to a PhD level, you must know that you have not taken the family forward.
Wow.
So Mteto, myself, Pelokazi, and Mtebisi, we have a challenge with the, from this man already, although he's already on the other side. One of us must get that PhD. So I will come for ideas.
Going to be you, Doc.
We are Nipochela otherwise.
Yes.
It's going to be you, Doc. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Nobeta. Sis Eugenia. Yes, the real doctor, as they say.
My last words to you, let me start by thanking Mundondo Pelegas. Thank you very much for honoring your brother. I love you as a family to do this to each other.
Thank you.
But you have no choice. You have a loving brother who loves even beyond the family borders. So getting to doctor, you spoke about spirituality. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
You spoke about spirituality. I really want to declare certain things and maybe starting from your life and where you're going. Yeah. So despite not the humble beginnings, you've shown that and you focus on a vision, as it says in Habakkuk, that you write it down, in a tablet, and though it tarries, it's for an appointed time. It's for the one for the media, company is for an appointed time. It will come to pass that I declare. And whatever you've done, you continue sowing a seed in other people's lives, continue be what God has created you to be. And in life, as it says, you seek him first, and all these other things will be added unto you. Amen. And being blessed to be a blessing, that's very important. And I know you do that. And also Bible says that you move from glory to glory. And I declare that PhD, if your father then, during difficult times he had masters, you have no choice that you move from that glory. It won't only be you, from glory to glory. Once you've studied here and outside the country, you can send your children to top universities in the world. That's that glory reflected in you, and also showing the seed that has been sown by your parents. I really bless you this evening, and I bless your endeavors. May the God see them to fruition. We are here to witness them. The Bible says we see them by their fruits. So we are here to see the fruits. It's easy to talk, but you see, even what you've shared, I protect it. I incubate it. You shared it because you are declaring it. So you want us to be witnesses. As we are witnesses, who come and witness that media company physically, who sit in that studio again to say, we remember in his whatever 51st birthday, he said this, voila, here it is. I'm waiting for the voila. It's a matter of time. So shall it be. Thank you.
I receive Dr. Eugis. I definitely receive. And like you said, in that Habakkuk thing, there's also a part about he won't give you all of it at once. He will give it incrementally.
Faithful with a little. Yes. With this one, we entrust you with more.
Yes.
Exactly.
Amen. So much. Thank you so much. Putau.
Sure.
Oh, I think she left.
Such powerful, conclusions and talks from others. Like I said before, I really feel honored to be part of this panel. And thank you very much, Pelo and Nobisa, by the way, behind the scenes for an excellent job. And to my friend Fundile, once again, happy birthday. And massive congratulations to what you've achieved so far and continue to achieve. As you continue, as you heard, to sow seeds in others, please remember to look at your self, ensure that you look well after yourself. So in that respect, I wish you good health, longevity. And, you know, I do know that you will continue to build others around you. You know, all I can think of, you know, throughout my experience of knowing you and working with you is always, you know, this willingness to share information, part with your knowledge, part with skills to build, you know, people around you. And, you know, I mean, obviously this is quite obvious in what you do in the space of public health, where it's not just around, you know, it's not just about people around you, but, you know, the broader population as well. So I wish you all the best in the coming years and you know, moving forward. And of course, you know, I play a little role in that space of, you know, public health in the media. So hopefully you and I will chat one of the days. But yeah, all of the best, mate.
Dr. Mutaung has been a host of Health Talk for the last, I don't know what, 10 years now on SAPC.
That's what's happened.
Yeah, and he has just launched a new TV show on SAPC2 that plays at 1:30 every Saturday. It's called Health 2020. It started on the 8th of August 2020, so it's just over a month old. He had a co-host there, you know, a young doctor who had everything going for her. Unfortunately, that young lady doctor passed on the 7th of September. So, you know, Dr. Mutaung is now hosting alone, and I'm sure he's on the lookout for a co-host, somebody young, somebody dynamic, somebody who's medical, obviously, because it's a medical show. And so if there's any young doctor who fancies herself as playing a role in the media space, somebody, you know, he is in his 50s, so he's got a market, but we need somebody who will bring the market of the younger people, you know. So
is it for females only, Ben?
Yeah, it must be a female. It must be a female to balance the gender thing.
Balance, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
But
yeah.
there's lots of testosterone, you know, we need to dive in.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so I'm saying all of this because I've been his guest on Health Talk Show for the longest time. And I'm sure in that plan I had around, or I have about this media company, we are definitely going to collaborate, but let's leave it for now. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And yeah, this surely was a great time. You know, when Fundile spoke to me about this, he had said to me, no, it's just going to be an hour, you know, and
Yeah.
not surprising, you know, the amount of time that we've spent with Fundile now, it's nothing new, really. When you're having fun, time is...
It flies.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Clarence Silo Mutaung.
Well, I think I would like to take this opportunity to, on behalf of Fundile's family, of colleagues, and I believe our whole country and the globe, because now we're virtual, we're everywhere. I would like to say thank you, Fundile, for your life. Thank you for the many years you're still going to receive the health, the wealth, the abundance, the beauty of the heart that you're able to share with us unconditionally. Thank you for that in advance. And I know it's still going to come. And I know that God will bless you and will continue to grow your territory. And so thank you for that. But behind the scenes, I would like to say thank you to Lindy, to Buhle, to Fika, for allowing you to share this time and the many times that you've shared with us on social media and many other platforms, because yes, it's your birthday, it's your family time, but you are selfless and you wanted to share with the rest of us that admire you and that look up to you, and that you allowed yourself to be so vulnerable. To me, that's so selfless. And I know that a lot of us appreciate the time that you've shared and the wisdom that you've shared of all the years that you've lived. I know that it's a very difficult thing for you to do, which is to receive. You're always the one that is giving. And so I would like to thank all the friends that have participated, either online, wherever they are, and the friends that have come in onto the panel. I would like to say thank you to them on your behalf, because I know that for you, it's very hard to receive, but this time you have no choice but to receive the love that's flooding towards you. And may you continue to be the blessing that you are. Ungufundile igama lakho, meaning the educated one. But thank you for educating us over this time, especially during this COVID period, and the many times that you've educated us, and therefore sharing not just the wisdom and the knowledge, but also sharing who you are, ufundile, making us ofundile, the co-fundiles that we are today. And therefore, continue to be humble, Budwam, continue to be the generous and loving person, and God will multiply the blessings towards you. And I wish you many, many, many more years of abundance, health, wealth, beautiful family that you have, and may you continue to receive the love that I know that everybody has for you. As Usis Zipporah said, you're not everybody's cup of tea, but you're certainly a cup of tea that we do take because we do need it. Thank you so much, Budwam. Nwabisa, I would like to see your face, Sisi. Nwabisa.
Yes,
Nwabisa is Doc's right-hand lady on the things of social media and all of the work, the beautiful work that you see. And sometimes it is important to make the faces behind the scenes be known. This beautiful lady, Nwabisa, is doing a lot of great work behind the scenes to make sure that all the stuff that is delivered to you through the Dr. Fundi platform happens. And so, Nwabisa, thank you for the great job, for the many hours that you've put in on weekends and after hours, making sure that we get this perfect platform. And may you grow from strength to strength, Fundile, and every work that you touch, may it continue to blossom. Thank you so much, everyone, and good night.
Good night.
I don't know if you'd like to say one word, just talk from you. We can't all be talking like this. I know you're the one that always talks, but this time, just one last thing from you.
Oh, I don't have words. I mean, everyone here has actually given 2.5 hours of their precious time in the middle of the week. They should be practicing, Jerusalem challenge tomorrow, Friday, but they've chosen to be here. So all I can say is thank you to each one of you, guys, and also to your families for also allowing you to be involved in this thing. So I just want to thank you. One of the most precious commodities is time, people's time. So when people give you their time, one must never take that for granted. And I'm not just saying it to you guys, but also the people who are watching and who've been watching. So I just want to thank everybody, and go and have some relaxation tomorrow. I'll try and relax, challenged as I am in that area. Tomorrow, that will be one of the days I try to do that. As for the Jerusalem challenge, I think as I have grown older, I now have 2 left feet. So I don't think I'll be able to dance tomorrow, but I will, be there in other ways. So thank you very much, guys, and I appreciate you and appreciate, all the questions you asked. Some of them were a bit challenging, but you know what? It's life. You must just give it your best. And that's what I try to do. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sharp,
everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye,
Enjoy the
everybody.
rest of the